My name is David Adjaye. I'm here in Cape Town at the AZA Architectural Conference. I sort of believe I'm a humanist, so my work in the end really is about the relationship of people to things. When I'm building a library, I'm thinking how people use that library, what enjoyment they get from it, and how does it make them feel about their sense of being there. This is primary for me, and then the rest follow.
David Adjaye, a 49-year-old architect based in London, is self-described citizen of the world who works on 5 continents. He has offices in London, Berlin, New York, and in Ghana. Adjaye has over 50 completed projects across the world. His portfolio consists of civic, retail, commercial, cultural, residential buildings, and master planning projects. He has been awarded the RIBA Bronze Medal in 1993, the Wall Street Journal Magazine 2013 Innovator Award, and the WEB Debut Medal for contribution to African American culture in 2014, just to name a few. Adjaye was born in Tanzania. His father was a Ghanaian diplomat in the Foreign Service, and the family traveled to different countries, finally settling down in London. Adjaye's first calling was science, but he followed the advice given by one of his teachers to pursue a degree in art and design. His passion for architecture came a little later. Adjaye saw the transition from science to art to architecture as a very natural progression because in his mind architecture combines science and art. For some years Adjaye worked in prominent London offices, and in 1994 he set up his own company. The influence of childhood memories as well as experiences from adult travels are combined in Adjaye's designs. He has said that by trying to fit into new surroundings as a young kid, he developed a sensitivity to landscape. Another observation from his youth in Africa was how living places had little separation between indoor and outdoor spaces. An experience that also affected Adjaye as a child was when his younger brother, Emmanuel, became very sick and was paralyzed. Adjaye realized how badly many buildings cater to disabled, and his project that earned him an architectural degree from London's South Bank University, a home for disabled, won the medal for the best project of the year in a British design school. Adjaye's buildings are described by critics as rough in their materiality and muscular in their form. He often incorporates elements of African design in his architecture as a way to reintroduce it to the public. Adjaye never follows a particular style, however his projects are joined together by certain ideas. His developments are often set in cities struggling with diversities. His public buildings encourage link among people, explore how neighborhoods evolve and how new communities are created. His designs speak to the specific time and place they are made. The Seven House, completed in 2010, is a private home located in the historic district of Upper East Side of Manhattan at 77 East 77th Street. The owners of the house, both art collectors, bought an 1897 carriage house with the intent to tear it down and build a new building behind the original facade. The limestone facade conceals Adjaye's new poured-in black concrete building. To accommodate the desired size, the site had to be dug out 25 feet down. The 7-level house has rooms for children, entertainment, and art collecting, as well as 2 indoor fountains. Floors are connected by beautiful staircases, floating bridges, and glass elevator. Elements included in the design came from Adjaye's previous work, including a studio and a gallery. The cellar is a version of the bedroom floor in the Le Corbusier Unité d'Habitation in Marseille. In spite of the number of different sources for the house, the interior doesn't disintegrate into disconnected fragments because each floor is treated as a discrete element and the views between floors are limited. The use of black concrete as a primary material also provides a continuous but informal framework for the different spaces inside. Materials used to customize each space include a colored laminate with high gloss finish, oiled travertine, glazed walls that reflect the light from the pool.
For us, we work at low and high, and this is a house in probably one of the most sort of bougie parts of New York. What we tried to do is to say, how can we make a house in an urban context like New York with its incredible history and layering? So we said, why don't we take the clues of the planning and zoning of New York as a way to drive the relationship and the kind of form. So we dug down 3 stories below and we went up 5 stories. So it's a kind of vertical shaft that cuts through New York and allows you to see the way in which the city is made. And you realize that actually the terra firma of New York is not really the terra firma. It's actually a couple of layers below, and that people think they're walking on the ground, but actually they're not. It's an artifice. And actually the ground plane is actually somewhere 2 stories, 3 stories below. When you cut through that, you see what New York was made up of. It was schist stone, which is this extraordinary granite which made the city, timber compression forms, and the foundations are all there. They're still under the city. The city is a piece of archaeology, and the architecture in a way presents a kind of way of looking at the city vertically and horizontally.
Another Adjaye project in New York is the multi-purpose Sugar Hill housing development that provides apartments for low-income and homeless residents. Sugar Hill neighborhood, once the center of black wealth, especially during the 1920s, known as the Harlem Renaissance, is the National Register Historic Places. Located in St. Nicholas Avenue and 155th Street, was completed in 2014 and has 13 floors, with 124 apartments ranging from studios to 3 bedrooms, a community area, children's museum, a preschool, a garage, and a commercial space. The building has almost 200,000 square feet and cost $89 million. Despite having a very low budget, it sparked Adjaye's interest because it had a social purpose. The exterior of the slab-style building steps back at the 9th floor to create a 10-foot terrace. The facade is slate gray, cast concrete with seemingly random patterns that turn into images of roses when the sunlight hits from center angle. The same pattern can be seen on the cornices and above the front doors of neighboring brownstones. The gray color contrasts with the luminous facade that wraps around the bottom of the building. The project was, and still is, receiving a lot of attention. It is described as grim, fortress-like with too severe exterior, or as dark blacks that loom over the neighborhood. However, the tenants love their new building. They like the access to the programs, they love the interior design of their apartments, the paint and color choices are seen as practical, they enjoy the views from their windows, and the shimmer of roses when light hits the external wall. Adjaye said, "My hope is that the building will offer a symbol of civic pride and will be a valued new source for the neighborhood." The Commission for the Smithsonian National Museum of African American History and Culture in the National Mall in Washington, D.C. is viewed as a crowning moment of Adjaye's career to date. The building, that will have 4,000 square feet and cost $500 million, is expected to open in the fall of 2016. The structure, placed next to the Washington Monument, consists of 3 levels, each wider than the one below. The form is modeled on the shape of the crown at the top of columns of African Yoruba architecture. The museum is a steel and glass box within an outer skin of open-work aluminum panels coated with bronze. As the bronze darkens with age, the museum will be a striking contrast to the Tennessee marble so prominent on the mall. The panels were inspired by ornamental metal castings that were done by former slaves. Each panel is 3 by 5 feet, and there will be 3,600 of them. The museum's 200-feet-long entrance hall ceiling is a shower of timber, made from thousands of split pine pieces. The pieces symbolize the number of Africans brought to the United States as slaves. However, Adjaye said that this museum is not just about slavery. It is about who we are and where we came from, which is a more interesting conversation. As visitors move through the exhibitions, important points in the city are highlighted by a series of openings which frame specific views. These framed vistas are a reminder that the museum presents a view of America through the lens of African American history and culture. Akui Nzewer, a critic and director of Munich House of Art, said that the graphic abstraction and layering textural quality of the Smithsonian project not only echoes traditional African design but also the 20th century urban architecture of Africa. At night, the crown grows, presenting stunning views of the museum from a variety of viewpoints in and around the mall. Early in his career, Adjaye said, "I was interested in what architecture can do rather than in how beautiful it was." His public buildings are open and welcoming, and most of them benefit minority groups in non-affluent neighborhoods. His private houses turn away from urban world and provide serene and uncluttered retreats. One thing that ties them together is use of relatively inexpensive materials, which he transforms into something rich and strange.